Hey, everybody! This is a tutorial on how to integrate Progressive AI version 1.3 with ESRPG. First, we need to unlock the character's base class. BP NPC base. And the base character class from Easy. You need to add data there. Two interfaces into our BPI Actions NPC and BPI Foundator base class. Compile, save. After that, you will see that you have a lot of new features added. In particular, we are interested in PalmSet. Here we need to call a variable. It's a life. I will. Not Boolean. Now we need to add a component. Data.ai. On begin play. The initialization function must be issued from this component. Here we need to pass a value. In order to do this, we need to copy from VPNPC base some variables. We are interested in spawn table row handle. You can just copy, paste variables related to the equipment. Also an action enable, two integer variables, and a projectile class. You probably won't need it, but it's essential for ranged NPCs. Compile. Pile this variable, right-click, split. Add these values to the component initialization function. Next, we need to find the character death function. Change it up a little bit. To do this, we disable the timer at this location and call this component in the relay tracker. In the damage function, which can be found here, damage taken. Also from the component, it is necessary to call the redamage from player function. Adding an instigator. You can now delete AI perception. We don't need him here. We're also deleting this. The controller can now be replaced. Now we need to find the structure and replace the base character class in it with our new one. To do this, go to Data, Structures, Enemy Data. Here we change it to Character Base. Be sure to choose a class. After that, be sure to click Save All. Because it's a fairly voluminous change. Now we need to go in, find and open the spawn NPC and update the spawn act to our new one. This variable may not be recomposed, but simply change its value here. Now we can open the renamed data table, delete all the characters we don't need.
Здесь то же самое.
They won't work anymore. The new ones will work. Renting a new fixer here, you'll see all the characters from Easy. Now they will appear to all the lists you have in your project. Time of death, time of disappearance after the character's death, how long he will still be in this world. Let's say, in seconds. His state of being, let's say, passive. He will control the area and run away from the player. Should also be added like this. Is recognizing how NPCs interact with each other and the player. For example, we can write just a passive. You can write anything you want here. When these tags match, characters are considered to belong to the same cluster. For example, if two passives see each other, they won't run away from each other. But if the passive sees the aggressive one, then he will run away from it. If the aggressive one sees the passive one, he will run after him. It works something like this. Walking speed. Let's say it's 50 and 150. At this point, for this state. That's enough information for us. Goodbye. Now we can add the spun. This is where we select our created character. We'll only have one. Check the spawn checkbox to make it appear always. If you don't want the NPC to always appear, but only when the player approaches it, then you can replace this cast on your character here. That is, not on character base, but on player. Let's try to do that.
In the spawn.
Let's see what happens. We can see that someone has already shown up there. There is currently no aggressive target for this NPC. When the player approaches him, he has seen the character and tries to run away from him. You can see he's not running at the speed we set. This is not a mistake. I thought I'd show this so you won't have a problem with it in the future. How can I make the velocity be controlled from a data table? To do this, we can go into the blueprint of a given character. Find the update tick function and simply disable update walk speed. He must now travel at a speed of 50 on foot and 150 on the run. You can see the speed has gotten faster. At the moment, she is 150. If we move away and the NPC loses sight of us, he'll be back at breakneck speed again. In order to add a job state for your NPCs, you need to make sure their state is one of the given three: passive, aggressive, or neutral. Civil status. If you look at the NPC base, it has a schedule here with these events that are called from the interfaces and their subsequent logic. This logician is just an example of the usage I personally prefer, but you are free to use any. So, in order to do that, you need to go into your character, summon the necessary interfaces for that. You already have them all present, you just need to double-click on them to do so. And further, you can use whatever logic you want. For example, you can run an animation. This is where you can pass the animation you need. There's already an example of use here. You can see in it as it can be realized for clarity the easier to manage. I will show for example how to add animation hero to not interfere, and here that is we get a start event if you can win this animation. Action board. How are they different? These events are job starts. Well, for example, an NPC can pick up some item. This is a one-off animation. She may be fixated. You can choose to do this in your animation, make it cyclic. It depends on your project. But in general, it is a one-off and is designed that way. Further, Action World is a timed animation that can be controlled from this table. What do I mean by that? Here you can add your animation. Here you can set the animation time. Thus, the NPC will follow certain points, and at each point he can perform the animation for varying amounts of time that are independent of the animation itself. That is, he will repeat it until that time is up, after which he will move on to the next point. If you have any problems, you don't understand how to do something, you can safely look at how it is implemented here and copy this logic. For example, this function. And yes, we are missing a settle event. As you can see, nothing needs to be updated anymore. It will all work. Here's this function at startup that actually does a lot of logic, but you don't have to understand it. All you need to do is simply call this function. Instead of all this, next, you can follow the following logic that is present in the demo project. It's a turnaround, action positions, waiting time after the start of operation, animation, doing the work itself, delay. How many of these actions will be performed? That's exactly what I was telling you about. And preservation. This feature is actually mandatory for your NPCs to move between locations. Thank you all. I hope I have explained it clearly and accessibly. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out on Discord. Thank you all.